It was one of those uneventful afternoons, the kind where everything blends into routine, where nothing really stands out. The sun had just begun its slow descent, casting a soft golden glow across the streets of downtown Chicago. I had a couple free hours before my next meeting, so I decided to stop by Brewed Awakenings, the coffee shop I'd been frequenting for years. The hiss of the espresso machine, the low murmur of conversation, the faint hum of indie music in the background, it was all familiar, comforting. I needed that escape. Work had drained me, and I figured a quiet moment with a latte might help clear my mind. As I pushed open the door, the bell above it chimed softly. The place was crowded as usual, but near the window was the small corner I always preferred. I glanced in that direction to see if it was available, and that's when I saw her, Emily, my wife. She was sitting there bathed in the afternoon light, as stunning as ever, her chestnut hair draped over her shoulders, her green eyes catching the sun like polished glass, and her laugh. It was that unguarded, joyful laugh that once made my chest tighten with love. Hearing it again tugged a smile from me, but at the same time, something felt wrong. At first, I couldn't pinpoint why, but as I stood frozen in the doorway, the hairs on my neck prickled. She wasn't alone. A man sat across from her. I didn't recognize him immediately. Tall, neatly dressed, with short cropped hair and a clean-shaven face. His body leaned in toward her, relaxed and engaged. Their conversation seemed playful, but the way their eyes lingered on each other, it was too familiar, too close. My stomach twisted with unease. Was I imagining this? Just overthinking? I tried to tell myself I was, but the knot inside me said otherwise. I stepped further in, careful not to draw attention, keeping my distance. Emily hadn't seen me yet. I stood near the counter, torn between walking over or simply leaving. And then, almost on cue, her gaze lifted. Our eyes locked. Time seemed to stop. Her smile faltered instantly, her face paling as panic flickered across it. She looked away quickly, as if pretending she hadn't noticed me. But I'd already seen too much. My chest tightened, my pulse hammering in my ears. Was this real? A mistake? Some awful misunderstanding? The man noticed me then, turning casually with a polite smile as he stretched out his hand. "Hey, I'm Mark, a colleague of Emily's," he said smoothly, a little too smoothly. The grin on his face didn't quite reach his eyes. Something about him felt wrong. Mark, a name that would etch itself into my memory forever. I forced a breath and shook his hand. "Ian," I replied, trying to sound steady, though my voice wavered, my palms damp. "Nice to meet you." Emily's complexion had drained, guilt written all over her. She rose awkwardly, lips parted to speak, but no words came. The silence pressed heavily on us until she finally stammered, I didn't expect to see you here." Her voice cracked, her eyes darting nervously between me and him. Those words cut deeper than anything. "I didn't expect to see you here." As if she hadn't even tried to hide it. As if she wasn't even ashamed. My mind spun. How long had this been happening? How many times had she told me she was working late or out with friends when it was really this? How many times had I been blind? I looked at her, then at him, and back again. My voice barely audible, I asked, "Is this why you've been so distant lately?" She didn't answer, just stared at the table, unable to meet my eyes. That silence was enough. I turned sharply and walked out. The cold air outside struck my face like a slap. My chest felt like it was caving in. I couldn't think straight, couldn't breathe. I just needed to get away. Reaching my car, I climbed in, slammed the door, and drove with no real destination. Eventually, I found myself parked outside our apartment building, gripping the steering wheel in silence. My mind replayed everything. The missed signs, the excuses, the late nights. Her laughter with him. The way they looked at each other, like it was the most natural thing in the world. It made me sick. I couldn't face her lies. I didn't want to hear hollow apologies. I didn't want explanations. I just wanted her to feel what I felt. I went upstairs to our apartment. The place was eerily quiet. The steady hum of the refrigerator, the only sound. I grabbed a pen and paper from the counter and, without thinking, scribbled the words that felt right. "Don't come home." I folded the note and slid it under the door. That was it. Final. I sat on the couch, waiting for her to return, waiting for her to find the note, waiting for her to realize everything had changed. But she didn't come back. Not that night, not the next day. The silence between us grew heavier with every hour. I didn't know what to feel anymore. Rage, sadness, betrayal, all of it tangled into a storm I couldn't untangle. But in that silence, I finally understood something. This wasn't just about her affair. It was about me, who I was, who I'd become. I had clung to a version of her that no longer existed, and in the process, I had lost myself. But not anymore. I wasn't going to be the fool.